We have that big powder puff coming around here, yeah.
Well, let's get first.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's just the discussion, if I remember right. So when you go back, you go over to 35 and down, and cut down.
I would too.
Yeah, I went to one.
I take two.
All the way over to the freeway. That 35, I was in Des Moines, but I had Kansas City. If you're tired, that can get really bad. So like Liberty or like Osceola, I mean, there's no place to stop. It's dark and it's just, it'll just lull you to sleep.
Years ago, yeah, I was driving like this, and I don't know.
They'll come out. Usually you can see them, but then there's a spot where it's clear, it's just lull you to sleep.
Small stuff.
From here down.
I don't know. Where you lose time. Like when you get south, 2 lanes.
And that's not a great.
So are you,
I'm in 2 hours.
is this going on YouTube tonight?
It won't be on YouTube tonight, but hopefully
You'll
tomorrow.
Don't know how much.
Well, I have to watch it, I'm like, sure.
No,
But I've got, you know, I've got the timer down below.
So what you do if you know when you exit where living is.
Yep.
That's on there, then I can just,
Take that.
I don't know, I guess.
you know, say it's 7 minutes and 39 seconds in, I can go to that.
Oh, sure.
Sorry, I don't like
Yeah.
in Liberty.
Yeah.
So then you know another. It's just that like if the person is missing, they now get in trouble. Issues with that.
So now you're just, is this the first meeting where you're doing what?
Which is.
Hopefully that.
Call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody for coming. Join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approve the agenda. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing to approve the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the East Street Bridge project. Motion to open the public hearing.
Roll call.
Roll call vote.
We'll do a roll call vote then. Scott?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Darren?
Yes.
Abstain? Okay.
Does anybody from the public have anything on the bridge? We received anything in the office, any written?
No, sir.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
We need another roll call vote. Okay. Matt,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Approve a resolution adopting plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the East Street Bridge project. Anybody got any questions about the plans or the specs?
I just wanted to point out that the items 1 through 23 is what the county engineer put on the plans for the bridge. And that is the cost of the bridge. Section B is items that were left over from the culvert project that we thought needed some attention. The quantities and the prices were just strictly left over from the culvert project, and most of those quantities will be greatly reduced. Some of them will be changed completely as far as the cost, and the quantities all will be reduced, not increased. In the notes down below, you'll see there's some that we think we can save some money considerably. Signing, we don't think there's a need for detour signing in town, on the edge of town. Everybody can find their way around us. That's gonna lower the traffic signing down considerably. The special backfill will be in a different form. It will be on the north abutment because it's gonna be a small amount just between the new abutment and the old abutment. The riprap, if you have to go to Selma and get that, it's pretty expensive, where there's a lot of busted concrete behind the south car wash that will do just fine, which would be a lot cheaper. And if you were interested in aesthetics, we can put some smaller erosion stone over top of it that makes it look real nice and save a lot of money. And we would recommend at some point in time, we do a bridge approach between the existing paving and on the north and the bridge. But getting to this time of year, when we get the bridge finished, it may not be a good time of year to do it. So we might want to revisit that in the spring, and may just want to come back with one of the local flat work contractors. But we just put it on here, and that price, that unit price on that north approach curb and gutter is actually the optional. The unit price is actually the optional one from the culvert price earlier, which was a quote from Wetstein Concrete. So actually, we're just working mainly off the section A, but section B, we recommend, like the erosion and sediment control. There's gonna be a piece of pavement have to be removed on the north end. The special backfill will be needed. All of that will probably be needed in some kind, except for maybe the approach curve, depending on the weather when we finish. But I look for that 36,000 to be less than that, because the quantities will come down.
What do you think you can start with?
Week from Monday.
Do you think you'll be there?
Depending on the weather, 6 to 8 weeks.
So sometime close to the end of November? Give or take.
Hopefully by the 1st of December, yeah. This time of year depends on snow. I mean,
we're not gonna let the cold stop us, but working on that slick steel gets kind of dangerous when it gets wet. But we will hammer it through.
Has anybody got any other questions or?
The original contract amount on the culvert was 253, so you can see, even if it does take the full 36, which I'm saying it's not gonna take the full 36, we're still considerably cheaper than culvert was.
Any questions? Motion to approve the resolution adopting the plans.
So moved.
Is that you, Scott? Need a roll call for this? Earl,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Acknowledge changes in scope of work and cost. Well, I think this is the sheet that Darren gave us, it's the new estimated cost, and what we just done was what the county gives, so we just need to approve their quote to move forward.
May I say something here? Sandy, as we were preparing for the meeting, she said at this point, this item B, we do need a motion that you understand the changes in the scope of work and the cost. Does that match up with what y'all are?
Yep, we just need to,
And it will need a roll call vote then.
we just need to acknowledge that we're changing from a culvert to a bridge,
Okay.
and that this is the scope of work is different and the cost is different.
Okay.
So we needed a motion that says that.
So moved, sorry.
Okay, so Matt, and who did the second?
I'll do the second.
And Earl,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Consent agenda, approved minutes from special council meeting 9/19/2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sorry, I was dreaming, I was back to that roll call. Discussion and decision regarding IOOF Road.
I took the privilege of calling Tom Delzell, asked him to come out with me and take a look at that. Number one, I wanted to know, did he have any interest in something like this? He got back with me with two proposals. I made it perfectly clear that we were just talking about this. I had nothing to do with the city or anything like that. He has given me two proposals. This is basically for the dirt work. It does not include the rock and that sort of thing. He is suggesting that you would allow him to skim on the south side of that present road for the dirt. That way we don't have to purchase dirt from out there by pipers. We don't have trucking, and this sort of thing. He said that reseeding grass would be an awful lot cheaper than having to go and purchase the dirt. For skimming the top of it, he came up with a figure of $9,025. And that was if there was no problem with utilities. And I don't think there is there unless there's something going right along the highway where that tube would have to go in. If you wanted to haul the dirt in and purchase it, the trucking would be $5,400. The earth would be $10,800, and then his dozer in that you're looking at a figure of $26,355. I have been out of town. I have not been able to contact Rysdom. And I would think it would be only fair to give him a shot at it, you know, so. And
Did you have that paperwork from our
yes,
engineer?
I had the colored
That we
drawing.
got from our engineer.
Yes, and I gave him that and the other, I don't know, the topography or whatever it was. And I also showed him what their costs and how they had put it together and figured it. So I think he did really have an honest, you know, apples to apples type of thing. And I would be glad to get a hold of Rysdom, but I don't see a phone number, and he's not listed in excavating, and so.
I can give you a phone.
Okay, all right. I mean, and I don't have to do it, one of you can do it, but obviously I'd like to keep moving on.
Well, I mean, if you talk to Tom, it'd probably be best if you done it, just
Sure,
so that you're giving both of them the same
same
information.
information. Okay.
You know, that way, it is apples to apples, I guess, is how you would.
Okay. Yeah, I made it perfectly clear, this was just me doing this. I haven't been told to, I just wanted to find out.
Well, I think if you want to get a hold of him, I guess the discussion for us is with the other estimate, you know, there's no rock or no felt or whatever, but I mean, this is basically just dirt work, but all it would be left would be what, the curb cut, and the felt and the rock.
Well, yeah, the concrete approach.
The concrete approach, right?
And that concrete approach, could that be done next summer or spring? Or would it have to be done at the same time?
We would, we require that if somebody put in driveways, we want to do that.
Well, it depends on the weather.
Yeah, weather.
If it's 20 below
Right.
zero.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna do it. Right, I
I
understand
mean,
that.
you know, we're not,
the
gravel running out on the highway.
I see.
We'd have to do it, but whether we can do it this fall yet or have to do it in the spring would be the weather dependent on it, but it would have to be done.
Okay.
Our thought on this, I guess is from the council standpoint, is the difference between the money that we had budgeted for the culvert and the money that we're using to build the bridge. If we could get somewhere close to that amount where we didn't have to come up with a bunch of other money, that I think we should probably move forward with.
I agree.
I think if you can talk to Rysdom,
Okay,
come back to the next meeting with a quote from him,
okay,
we can probably talk to somebody and see about the cement approach and the rock portion of that, see if we can get an estimate, or if Rysdom or Tom want to do that estimate on the cement, we'll probably talk to 2 or 3 local cement contractors. Try to get all that back by the next meeting so we can make a decision. That way, now that we've got the bridge price, we can see where we're at there on money, and we've got a fairly decent idea what it's gonna cost, so, I think we can probably make a hard decision at the next meeting.
okay. Sounds good.
Thanks for your work, Ron.
Yep, thanks. No problem. That helped us a lot.
Thank you.
Discussion and approval of DPW emergency purchases.
We're gonna talk about cemetery board.
Oh, yeah, we can do that too. Discussion and decision regarding cemetery board.
Okay, cemetery board can be composed of 3 people, it can be composed of 5 or more, whatever, you know, whatever your wishes are. Sandy had made the comment to me that she would really like to be on that board, and I can understand that. It could be, you know, a couple funeral directors, could be one of the council members.
you could have one from the person from the public. You know, however you people want to set it up. If you went with 3 people, you could just, you know, they're on for life, or when they say, hey, I'm done, I quit.
Is the South Cemetery in the county?
I don't know.
I think it's on that side of the road.
On that side of the
Because
road.
I'm just wondering if it's in the county, does it make sense to have a supervisor on that committee?
Well, and I did think of that because the north part of IOOF is county.
And I think the South Cemetery, if not all of it, part of it, I
Part
think
of it
it is, yeah. So if we had 2 funeral directors, 1 from the council, 1 from the city, 1 from the county. And Sandy. That's 5. You don't wanna get a lot, because if you gotta have a meeting and you don't get at least 3, then you can't have a meeting.
And meeting wise, what I have researched, they're saying, you know, unless you're a huge cemetery like Des Moines, and most of them are private, but quarterly, unless, you know, there's something comes up that you have to call a meeting to
Well, I
order.
think Sandy would be a good one.
You wanna list Sandy as like the first person from the public?
Or the person from the city.
Well, I didn't know whether you wanna have a council
I was
person on.
thinking council, 1 from the council, 1 from the supervisor, a council member. Do you just put funeral directors and not put a number if there's how many's in the
Well,
county? I mean,
yeah,
if you
I
put
mean,
2
you know-
and there's only 1 that live here, how do you, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Jamie, I think, would more than be happy to get involved with it. Last time he had cross country to go to, I've been down that road.
Yeah.
I'm unique in that, you know, yes, I am licensed and everything, but I don't really, occasionally I come up here. I'm more focused in Memphis than up here, but,
Mr. Mayor, just one thought, and this is certainly up to council. My experience has been in cities I've worked in that have cemetery boards, usually that, because of building and grounds, usually that fell under guidance, direction, whatever you want to call it, of the Parks Board or the Parks Department, really. I'm not saying that's cast in stone. I was just thinking through a city here I know, and Hannibal and Ottumwa, anyway, that fell under the auspices of the Parks Office. We may want to give that some consideration. I don't think it holds up your vote or anything, but because it's grounds, that's one that the cemetery is in between those 2 entities.
It's in the ordinance, I have to inspect every footing that's poured in the cemetery.
who has to?
I have to.
It says the DPW has to.
there's plenty of regulation already as far as what needs to be done. Basically, what this board would do is if, you know, input about, okay, if you're finally gonna go ahead and plot, do you plot to the west end or do you plot?
Yeah, like if you're wanting to do a crematory or whatever you said, that would be.
Columbarium.
just Column and whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. For all terms. That's what this board would decide as far as.
Right, and it is simply, the cemetery board simply would be to research something. It would, if someone, public would say, you know, what do you think about doing this? The board could research it, but the final decision is always going back to the council. I mean, we basically have no power. There's no, you know, it's not a position that is paid. It's just free will, people who are concerned about it. And I think, you know, even the cost of grave opening, if there is a time when that needs to be looked at, it definitely, if you were going to go ahead and plot a new area on the east or south of that far road. What are you gonna charge per space out there? It's gonna have to be more. I mean, look at the expense that we're probably gonna go through. And when the architect's plan, when the Carillon went in, when the pond went in and that sort of thing, he actually had, sketched in a road for that area. So,
Well, I don't know if this makes sense, if we have so council person, supervisor, one from the public, Parks and Rec director, and all licensed funeral directors that's in that, you know what I'm saying? What I mean by that is, if you only have one, it's one, like we got two, or Ron and Jamie. So they would both be on it. If there's only one in the area, you'd only have that.
we actually have three. Lisa is the funeral director also.
Okay, but, so you would have all the funeral directors on there, just depending on how many you had in the area. Does that make sense? Do we need to
I think you need to
have more discussion on this later as far as trying to figure out how to deal with through the ordinances or whatnot?
Yeah, I think we probably need a work, kind of a work,
like a work session, perhaps.
staff meeting, something.
Because there, that point, you only have, so chapter 27 sets forth, it talks about the cemetery board and of trustees and their responsibilities, but you may want to mollify that a little bit to take into consideration if it falls under, as I said, parks.
Well, I think the reason for this discussion is to change the ordinance to a different,
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah,
to change the ordinance to a different group of people because we've got some people in the community that would like to be more involved and they're kind of tied with the way it is now.
Point well taken. We may just want to give some, council give some
I
consideration.
think that's, isn't that right, Ron?
correct. I mean, prime example is size of a grave. Nobody's gonna know what that should be. I mean, Jamie and I know what it is, and we'd be the first to tell you that make it larger. What's on the IOOF now is way too small. That's part of the problem why we have monuments going like this.
So them are the things that you guys can bring to the table for recommendations
Right.
as far as we need to change this and this and this to make it. We mentioned something about having we need to have a work session for this. Do we wanna?
Bruce kids.
Well, not that, Mayor, though, it's up to you and council. I think it would make some sense to have your all's a call to have a work session to discuss this. Maybe want to bring in some of the elements of the park board, get their feedback as well. Merely a thought. Otherwise, I mean, you vote on it now and then find out about it later.
Well, yeah, I don't think I'm not ready to vote on it. If we do an ordinance change, we gotta go through the public hearing, we gotta go through all that jazz, but, do we wanna have a work session next Thursday at 6? And then have our meeting at 7?
Fire station?
Excuse me, is that the 9th?
13th. 17th.
It's 17th, that's a regular meeting anyway.
Sometime there's. And maybe this doesn't involve the council. A final report from Robin Dostrom on the,
That's earlier on the 17th, didn't Tammy?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Tammy's got that.
When's the market analysis work session? It's not on the night they're talking about.
It's on that Thursday, the 17th at 5 o'clock.
Will that go until 7 or until 6?
Okay, just
Well, I mean, I guess it don't have to be next week. It's not a emergency, urgent thing. I mean,
It's been this way for a long time.
We'll just do it at the first meeting in November. November 7th.
And what time? Do you have a time?
We'll just have November 7th meeting, we'll just have as a work session. Want to do it at the fire station?
I like that.
Just, didn't you have a few other things you just wanted to bring up at the work session? We just have.
There were, like code enforcement, there were some other items I want to bring to the council, if that's all right.
So we'll just have our November 7th meeting as a work session at the fire station. We'll do it at 6 o'clock. That way we got a little extra time. We'll discuss if we're gonna do a potluck or whatever. Maybe a fireman will have a fish fry or something. Does that work for you, Ron?
Sure, as far as I know.
I've been brisket on hand, so.
If not, I'll put pressure on Jamie.
All right, discussion and approval of DPW emergency purchases. I finally got a hold of Gray Bar, which is the company that they ordered the wrong wire from, and they weren't really, I mean, they took the wire back because it was long cuts at no restocking fee. They were not interested in helping us with the shipping that we paid to go get it. The only thing I could convince them, they did bring a truck down to here and pick up the wire and take it back to Des Moines. So we saved the freight, we saved sending somebody to Des Moines and hauling it back to them. That's all I could get out of them for that, so. I don't know, what all else was on that list?
So, I mean, I don't know if it moved from last week, but it was the, Shermco and then also Southern Iowa Electric and,
We haven't even, have we got an invoice from Southern Iowa Electric?
I received that today. It's, what's the dollar figure? Just kidding, 3,900?
Yeah.
3,900.
How come we don't have that information if we're approving?
Well, I don't know about approval. When I put this on last week, I just wanted to talk about it. I made those purchases, we talked about it, and you moved it to the next week, but I don't have the, I mean, I know, I guess the biggest thing was just to notify that I made those purchases without, you know, expenditure authority. That's what brought that attention last week. The ordinance, I did look up in the ordinance, there is emergency expenditure authority for me, actually for anybody in the city leadership for $5,000, but it's real outdated. That's the issue, I think, on the ordinance. So there is a provision in there for me to make emergency purchases, just the dollar amounts, doesn't match what we spend.
So what do you want to do with this tonight? Nothing?
No, that's fine. No, you don't have to do anything tonight. I just wanted to acknowledge that and the council knew that, so I'm not up on the table that I made those purchases.
So we'll bring the receipts for everything that we
That'll
go to the next.
Yeah, those all be on, you know, claims and approval next week or so.
Anybody got any questions about it?
I happened to be in there and saw the one from Southern Iowa Electric, and they treated us very nicely. So,
Yeah, they're a pretty good organization to have on your team.
they certainly are.
Anybody else got anything on that? Discussion and decision regarding funding Babe Ruth Ball Field at the Davis County High School Complex. I don't think anybody's here for that. I did get an email from Joe Young today. He went to the supervisor meeting, somebody went to the supervisor meeting on Monday, and they got a letter of commitment, I guess you would say. They didn't, he put he give me a dollar amount, but it's not a dollar amount that they put in their letter, so I'm not gonna disclose that dollar amount. Because it was just a guess from him is what it was. So basically what he's wanting from us is some kind of a commitment. He did get a letter from the school also, stating that, before any dirt got turned or anything happened, there needs to be some kind of an agreement between the school, the county, the city, and the league as far as what's gonna happen. So with that information, I guess, discussion on our part is whether or not we're interested in committing anything to a ball field at the high school complex. I guess is what they need to know. Because the grant's due November 1st, and he said he would try to get a hold of me tomorrow to let me know what we decided. My opinion, unless we could, I think, I'd like to sit down with the school and see what their idea is or what their agreements are, or what they would like to do or are willing to do before I commit to anything at their complex. Because because I think there's other opportunities for us to do more with the ball field somewhere else, or fix the one that we have more, to better serve everybody in the community, and to make, then having it, because if the ball field's at the complex, it's gonna be restricted. It's gonna be only for Babe Ruth. It's not, the community's not gonna be, if you have a family reunion, you wanna go play ball, you're not gonna be able to go out there and play ball. It's not gonna be.
And I don't know what the status of Babe Ruth statewide is. I think it's.
The letter from the school did say, that they are not interested in middle school ball at this time. They're not interested in having middle school ball. They support Babe Ruth as long as we can keep it going, and I think they will support Babe Ruth instead of having middle school ball. I didn't have a chance to read all of everything. It's pretty small print, and I couldn't read it on my phone very well, but I did get that part of it. And my other thought behind it is the comment made, if you're not interested in helping build it at the complex, I'm not gonna write the grant. I didn't like that. I thought that was, that's not really, the ball field's for the kids. For writing a grant for a ball field for the kids to play ball, I guess we shouldn't dictate where it's gonna be. To me, that wasn't really looking out for the kids having a place to play ball. That was more looking out to having a third field at the complex. And the county did say that they're gonna use, I can't think of the property.
Local options there, tax.
No, they've got a fund, rural fund, I think it was the rural fund, where it's only tax money from the rural people. It's not tax money from the city people.
Mhm.
And so they would use money from the rural fund in the portion of theirs so that the city people aren't paying twice.
Great.
So that was one of the things that he did bring up to them, and they did say that they would use rural funds.
Too bad we didn't do that for the law enforcement.
So, I mean, I guess it's discussion, decision, I mean, I think they're wanting a decision of some kind. You know, I guess if they wanna write the grant, see what they can get, yeah, I'm not opposed to more discussion later, but I don't think at this time, personally, I would support a field complex.
Well, I guess I'd like to see the field at the complex for unity, but I wanna see the particulars and what the agreement's gonna be. Like you're saying,
Well, because the Babe Ruth can only function through,
yeah, the city.
well, they can only function through the revenue that they get from concession sales. And if the concession sales goes away,
Mhm.
or part of them go away, they can't function. I mean, it takes all they have and all they make through the concessions to operate. And that's gonna be an issue if, with it, you know, if they take the concessions away from high school games, I mean, that's 3/5 of their
Right.
concession fund.
And my concern is how long is Babe Ruth as a league statewide, is it even gonna exist? 'Cause I think Babe Ruth statewide is shrinking. So, I mean, is it even gonna exist
You need
much
some
longer?
information from Scott Spurgeon on that, don't you? And I'm sorry, I can't give you that information. I know he spends a lot of time on that.
Right. I mean, are we gonna spend $200,000 and does Babe Ruth exist 2 more years and we've just wasted $200,000 on something we can't use? 'Cause,
I think that's things we need to,
and
I'm
then
not
it's,
aware that there's a problem.
I mean, I guess
With the
that's my
existing
concern also, and that's my reasoning for thinking it needs to be somewhere other than at the complex, so that if that does happen, we still have the field that we can use for other.
the rest of the community, you know, if they wanna have adult leagues or family unions wanna go play, or, you know. Could we invest that money better at Lake Fisher and have something for the entire community rather than,
I get, Lake Fisher's a wonderful place, but I have a real problem thinking about young teenagers at the lake. And some of them not being as supervised as well as maybe they should be, because some kid's gonna end up in the lake. You and I both know how kids are, somebody's gonna go swimming in the lake. So that's the thing that I fear with it at Lake Fisher. I love Lake Fisher, it's a great spot. But the supervision.
I mean, there's a small argument to that as far as, I mean, you're gonna have that whether you get a ball field, that's a good call.
True, but
I mean, we've got one ball field out there, so I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
you'd have to have an improved concession stand, although there's a food truck for sale on Craigslist. Maybe just use a food truck.
You get your check.
and that's just it, would our money be better spent fixing that one up, put a restroom and concession facility out there?
I mean, if you
Which it
think,
needs.
if we're big picture development down the road, you know, what's Lake Fisher gonna be in 10 or 15 years? It's the money best spent out there, you know?
Yeah.
We want to improve camping, so you need to build a shower house and bathrooms anyhow. You know, concession stand, you know, you don't have, concession stands don't have to be fancy, there's one there, I mean, I don't know what you had to do if it would have to go away.
Yeah.
There's some playground equipment out there, you could be relocated. You know, our cross-country team holds their meets out there, so it would be another spot for them to have a, you know, a little nicer facility for them to do that in, with bathrooms and, you know, things like that.
We've got a lot more options out there as far as benefiting the entire community than we do at the school complex, I think.
There's a lot of consideration.
I mean, yeah, I'd have to see some kind of something in writing as an agreement with the school as far as what they're thinking, because I mean, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna want Babe Ruth, I mean, you're gonna want to hold tournaments, you gotta have 2 fields that are in districts or whatnot, you know. Is the school gonna let you use their other field to hold tournaments? You know, if you want Little League tournaments, we only got 1 Little League field, you could hold Little League tournaments if you had 2 fields out there. That's my whole thing is, you know, the school's made it well known they want to use the 3rd field if it's built there, but are they willing to let us use their field also? You know, I mean, that's my biggest concern with the whole thing is, you know,
And I agree with you wholeheartedly.
are we gonna get treated, you know, are they gonna treat us in the same regard as we're willing to treat them if that's what they want?
Right.
Anybody else got anything to say?
I think it makes sense to build a field, not specific to Babe Ruth, build it where maybe we have a movable fence. But you want to have softball tournament, so.
Well, you can pin the, I mean, the baseline, set the base patterns to put, you know, you have softball, baseball, Little League, Babe Ruth, I mean, which Babe Ruth and high school ball is the same, but you can have all them different base patterns, you can have removable pitching mounds for different, you know, for softball versus baseball. You can do it rock infield, I mean, baseball don't like it as well, but I mean, you can do that solid infield so that they, you know, softball.
Does anybody in the public got anything on the ball field?
I like the idea of the consistency of the youth programs. I'm a proponent of that. And when I think about the one-off of family dunes and things, I guess my concern would be we go from Babe Ruth to high school ball and the consistency of the program all the way through and their availability to have facilities at their disposal to be able to have that consistency for the kids. So they're not going, because that's, if you don't, if they're not gonna have middle school ball, then they're gonna stop when they're in 6th grade, not play until they're in 9th grade. And the consistency of our programs and building good teams at the high school level depend on that all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for the Babe Ruth maintaining their logo and their ability to keep moving. I mean, moving forward, I think it's a good program and it's had a lot of good support throughout. It's had a lot of good people support it and help it keep going. You know, ours growed the last years. I mean, we added another team. I know there's other places that are getting smaller, but I mean, and like you said, I want a place for them to be able to go.
Yeah, but I mean,
Because if they're not gonna play high school ball and they're just Babe Ruth, what are they gonna do? They're gonna swim in the lake. I mean, so,
Does it make sense to put, in talking with the school and the Babe Ruth all together, I don't think we need the full council. Maybe a team, you know, a couple of people go and be in that team, and maybe Andy as the administrator, you know, be part of that as well. You know, does that make any sense?
yeah, I just don't know if you can get that done in time to, I mean, for their
Right.
decision.
Right, yeah. I think they need to go ahead and apply for the grant and.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't, yeah, if they get it and it doesn't happen, I mean, it's not like, you know, they
Right.
can't give it back. I mean, I don't have them applying for the grant process. I mean, I would probably go ahead and do that.
Mr. Mayor, to Councilman's point, that was just something that Councilman Howard and I talked a little bit about. And this may have already happened, but the stakeholders together, and like you said, you don't want to, call it the cavalry, but maybe get some of the elements from those different organizations, the school district, neighborhood, and the city. Everybody just go out and get together, because we're not speculating. They put something in front of you and then they're looking for an immediate answer, and that's just not fair.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get something done by the work session, that'd be another spot for us, we can kick that tire again.
Is that something council would be interested in doing?
We'll, so if we form a committee, would that fall under the decision part of this? To form a committee tonight, or do we have to have an agenda item?
Mayor, I think you would be able to make that call.
Who wants to be on that committee?
I know nothing about baseball.
And I don't know if I should speak or not, but Darren mentioned the health of baby statewide.
Oh,
And Scott is state commissioner, and you probably know that.
But
Babe Ruth. So
the
I
Babe
don't know
Ruth
if you
will
want
be-
him on that committee or not, but
he would be there representing Babe Ruth, I would hope, as
Oh,
far as
yeah.
the league part.
Yeah.
He would definitely be involved in.
But I mean, he has a handle on what's happening statewide, obviously, beyond the borders of Davis County.
Really want me on that? Okay. Scott?
Hi.
Well, your part's on the Parks and Rec committee, so that would fall in that category. You want-
That's fine.
You got some younger ones. Softball side. So we'll have Darren and Scott on the committee, and Andy. And if Scott, I mean, if he wants to be on it, I mean, we can put him on our committee if that, to make sure that he's included, he can be on our committee.
Somebody else should ask.
I mean, I would
He doesn't always respond to.
I would
us.
ask him anyhow, or talk to him about it anyhow, or make sure that he was gonna be at that. We'll just appoint him to the committee.
There you go.
He's not here to defend himself.
There you go.
That's what happens when you don't show up, you get appointed.
That should do it. I think he's taking homecoming pictures right now.
So is everybody, so we got a motion for that?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion and approval of purchase security lights.
Use the lights or the cameras?
Lights.
Nice.
Could you find any 5,000K security lights? Did you look?
No, I didn't look, because I got quotes on these, I need to get these in, so. I mean, if we're gonna switch our whole system to 5K, and right now we don't have any 5K out there, so. I mean, they're probably gonna be more expensive, and then, we have to start looking for different kinds to match, but. This light's doing us real well, I mean, we've put a lot of time into this light, we've been using it for quite a while, so.
You guys can do what you want, I don't like it.
Mr. Mayor, is it a budgeted item?
Yeah, it's just distribution supplies, and it's just, we just buy it every year.
Under the electric budget, it's
We buy streetlights every year.
Is the 63 a special number for some reason?
Yeah, we just had 63, so one company had 63 on hand, that's all they had they could get us, and then so, we just quoted the same number with everybody, so we could stick to get everything priced the same, because if we quoted 100 for one, it'd be probably different than 63 for the other. So we just stuck with 63.
If you get 100, are they cheaper?
I don't know, 400. Imagine it would be.
What you said the difference was then, the 5K is a different shade of white. The 5K is a bright, it's like a daylight, it's a brighter, clear white light, it's more of a.
So when we went to this light, originally, we had a loom tester, and we had all the lights brought in, everybody, we had Resco, power line supply, and then, what's the other one starts with F. But we had 3 or 4 different vendors bring in lights to try to make sure we went, this ended up being the best illumination we could find that everybody agreed on that we liked. So we went with this brand, and this is what we've had for the last couple of years, so. So there was some history back, put into this when we procured it initially, so it's not been, just, it's what somebody wanted and they went to. This is, they vetted it through the system, went through different, styles and looks. It's had the best, looms and the best pattern, they all have a different, depends on the lens, what the pattern that it comes out with.
I just wonder if you went to more of a street light type pipe, it's a flat. This has a globe on it, that kind of directs the light down. If you had a street light type light, if it would shine out a bit more of the street.
It's like the ones we have around town now that spend half the time going on and off, or?
No, so some of the original ones that they had, I think a couple years ago, they bought these, there was it's called instant on, instant off. So when the capacitor was best, when the headlights would shine or something like that, it'd create the instant on, instant off and the delay. So those have all been replaced as recalled. So those, if any we find, we can still send in, because they know by serial number, lot numbers, we can send those in and get them replaced. And we've been doing that as we go. Like we just had 25 replaced here within the last couple months. So
The ones over by me is not a headlight issue.
yeah. I don't know. And again, I don't know without looking at what the
Like
light
strobe
is,
light.
but yeah. Depends.
How many streetlights do we have that aren't LED?
Ooh, I don't know that number off the top of my head. Couldn't tell you, Mayor.
And we got a lot of them changed out.
We've been changing a lot. We've also been trying to change the ones that are security lights that, we have people that rent security lights for $8 a month. So we've been changing some of those out too, working on that. So it's just,
Cause that's my question, we're putting security lights up for street lights. Why don't we put street lights up for street lights? Cause the street light has a different pattern and a different, I understand the security light for property, but if we put a street light, if we're putting a security light up for a street light, are we darkening the streets because it don't have the same cast or the same?
again, that's what they looked at when they went through these. These had a better pattern. I mean, I don't know, we can start looking at different lights if you want to.
I mean, I'm just asking, 63 lights, that's quite a few lights. If we're wanting to do something different or. Have you got a certain number of lights right now that you're needing to get replaced or, that you're wanting to do something with in the next month or? Or you got time to look at something else, or do you have a certain amount that you want to get done right away?
Right now, we have probably just 3 lights on hand, so we couldn't replace any more than 3. So we're down quantity. And then we do have a list of, right now, a work list we're working on, trying to definitely on security lights, switching out and some other street lights. We get calls daily on those. So it's just, I can't give you a big number. It's probably at least 50. But we easily do 100 lights a year.
You guys call. Somebody make a motion. Somebody make a motion one way or the other.
Move to approve the 6220 bid, I think it is. $6,200 bid anyway from electrical engineering and equipment.
Mr. Mayor, one question, I think we have already indicated this, that I'm assuming that this is a budgeted line item in operations. That's all I think.
Well, it doesn't say security lights, it's just under electrical maintenance.
Distribution supplies.
I'll second your own motion then and see what happens.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion regarding adding stop sign at Buckeye and Locust Streets.
So I put this one in, so this is just right up Bruce Piper's car wash. There is where the intersection of Locust and Buckeye meet. And I had some people call me and said that, with all the road construction going on, there's a lot of traffic, there was not a stop sign there, so they was gonna send somebody was gonna do it. So whether or not we put something permanent or temporary, but there's nothing there at that intersection.
There's not even a two-way, it's just a free-for-all.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there's a couple more over in that corner of town.
Same street as it's on North. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot of traffic going through there, but there is nothing.
I suppose we could do something temporary without change, but it's an ordinance change if we do it permanent.
Right.
I mean, if you want to put a temporary sign up, if you want to put a couple temporary signs up with the no stop sign intersections during road construction, I mean, we can do that through, Sean can do that through the police department.
Sounds like a good idea.
Jake, you could go out there and we could just put a stop sign on the front of your walker. And you can
Hasn't been anybody got me on it yet. And I'm hoping I'm just about ready to that water.
Yeah, we talked a while ago about having a list of streets and parking and everything that we wanted to look at. We never have seen it.
Sounds like a work session item.
So if we do a temporary, do we want a four-way or a two-way?
Just,
Two-way.
yeah.
Can we do that by motion?
Sean can do that through
Oh,
police department, public safety. We just have to get the guys to take a stop sign out there. You can talk to Sean. And let him know what-
Which way you wanted to go.
Yeah,
I would say stop sign on Locust, stop Locust traffic.
Okay.
Cause I think everything else, like,
East and west, or?
cause you got Pine Street that's straight shot through. I
Stop.
think, and-
Locust, east and west, because Locust stops all the way through there.
so, except for that one.
If you gotta watch out for your through roads for fire and safety, we usually got one way that's no stop. Anybody got any more discussion on that? New business, public comments? Motion to adjourn,
Move to adjourn.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That was